Hey, it's Brian at Legit Betting Edge, and in today's video, we're going to talk about staying connected to your numbers. But before we get into that, let's do this. Hit the like button if you don't mind. Subscribe to my channel. Trying to grow the channel. Each time I put a video out, it helps me get more exposure if you're liking it, if you're subscribed, and then I'm able to grow my channel. I appreciate it if you help me do that. And remember, if I just give you one tip for one winner that you score big on, isn't that worth a subscription? Isn't that worth a like? I'd appreciate it if you do that. Okay, let's get into it. Staying connected. Now, what do I mean by staying connected? What I mean is each day that you get up, that you do your routine, you get up, you brush your teeth, you eat your breakfast, you go to work, whatever you're doing, you want to stay connected to the betting. You want to stay connected to whatever sport you're following, whatever sport you're betting on, whatever teams you're betting on, whatever numbers you're looking at. You're going to want to look at these every single day. You're going to want to treat these. You want to treat these like they're a priority, and just as important as brushing your teeth. You do not want to skip a day. Now, you can skip a day of betting. I do it all the time. You can skip a day because you don't see something you like, but you never want to skip a day of looking deep into your numbers and watching the progress of what you're betting on, of what you'd like to bet on. It's almost like it's an intimacy, right? It's a connection. It's like a relationship. It is a relationship. It's like you and your girl or you and your guy, whatever it is. It's about being connected. It's about communicating. It's about caring. It's about being there and showing those numbers that you're serious, those teams that you're serious about following them and finding winners. Because listen, things happen in a game all the time. Things repeat themselves, players repeat themselves, individuals do things over and over again. But a lot of times, it isn't what they're doing, but it's how they're doing it and it's when they're doing it. I'm going to give you an example, okay? So let's say a team like last night, you had the Clippers beating the Jazz up. So the Jazz scored a lot of points late in the third and fourth quarter. They won those quarters. They got destroyed in the first and second quarters. Now, how does this affect the Jazz going home? Do they feel better about themselves because they scored some points in the second half? Or were they close enough where they thought they could come back and win the game and they're more demoralized than they were in the first half? Is their energy drained, or are they upbeat as they go home? And they may say they're upbeat to the media, but are they really upbeat? Do they feel good about themselves inside? This is something that you need to be able to read inside your numbers through your process of looking at your handicapping. And the only way you're going to be able to stay connected to this is if you've been following each of these teams every single game. So you can get a heartbeat of what's going on, right? You can read that well. If you're not doing that and you try to jump in on game 5, you probably miss it. And even if you hit it, you got lucky. So you got to stay connected with these numbers. Very, very important. Even if you're the ebb and flow of these teams, these are personalities, these are people, these are real people. They're not machines, they're not robots out there. And there's a lot of players on these teams. So you got a lot of loose parts, a lot of parts individually doing their own thing, or are they playing together? Are they cohesive? Is the coaching staff, are they in tune with what's happening with the players? And these are going to show up in your numbers. Again, it's not always what happens, but when it happens in a game, right? So I'll give you one more example of what I'm talking about. Baseball game. Teams losing the entire game, scores a couple of runs in the 9th inning, and they still lose though. But they score a couple of runs. They're down 3-0. They score 2 in the 9th inning. They lose 3-2. Next game, how do they feel about that 2 runs in the 9th inning? Did they leave people on base? Did they feel like they had a chance to win? Did they have people in scoring position? Did you read that properly? What is their morale? What is their mental state? And what do those numbers tell you about that mental state, right? Are they going to be able to come back? Will they score more runs? Will they hit more balls in the next game? What is their attitude going forward? Or if they're in a series, and this is the next game in the series, will the other team that was winning the whole time, are they going to win again? Are they going to blow them out the next game? That's something to think about, right? So the only way you'll know these things is if you're constantly looking again and again and again and again at these patterns, and then you understand what certain numbers mean, what power they have, and what kind of value they bring to each and every game afterwards. And make no mistake, the game before always has something to do with what's about to happen in the next game. Make no mistake, I honestly, this seems obvious, right? But I know some people in some forums believe that the previous game had nothing to do, it's a separate entity, it had nothing to do with the very next game. Not true, not even close. So you want to stay connected, even if you're not placing your bet. And listen, I would encourage you, if you don't see something, just take the day off and let that, it's like a story, right? Like I said the other day, every game tells a story. But it's like there's a missing piece. If you don't see an angle to bet, if you're not connecting the dots between what happened previously in this next game, you just lay off. And what happens is maybe you get that missing piece. Maybe it pops in your head for the next game after that. That's the next opportunity. There's always opportunities. There's no reason to throw your money at a guess when you're not sure. You want to wait for that opportunity and you want to pounce it. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is to stay connected to what's happening with these teams and the ebb and flow of what's going on. And this is why I mentioned before, you always want to follow a certain amount of teams, but you don't want to try to conquer the whole league. The whole league is too tough. You want to conquer 3 or 4 leagues? That's impossible. Okay, you're going to wind up losing because you're going to bite off more than you can chew, and it's going to be too much for you. You won't be able to process it all. So you want to only take what you can process. You want to study it intimately. You want to stay on top of it, treat it like a priority, just as important as brushing your teeth every day. I assume you do brush your teeth every day, and just keep it at that level to where you can get an intuitive feel for what's going to happen in the very next game. And that's when you throw your bets in. And when you're really sure what's happening, that's when you raise your bet, like I've mentioned before. So this is part of handicapping. This is what you do. And in my mind, this is the best way to see what's going to happen next. Regardless, you're going to want to look at numbers. There's other parts to this. But when you stay connected, you can get a feel for what these teams are doing, for what these players are feeling, and for the connectiveness and the togetherness with each team is playing or not playing with. Okay, that's it. Hope this video helped. Again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video.